Welcome to Radio Fixer's channel. Subscribe for upcoming videos. In this video, I will repair a 1968 Guild Town Crier radio. This is the 7-tube version. And I will also explain how to identify the difference between the transistor and tube version, since the cabinets are nearly identical with only a few small differences. Let's get started. Really, my goal is to create these videos so a brand new person can use the information and be able to get into the hobby. It is really a wonderful hobby and very rewarding to bring back something that totally dead back to life and sing again. I have listed the product I use in the notes section of this video. You can support this channel by shopping through the links below at no extra cost to you. Thank you for your support. I hope you enjoy watching this video. Let's get started. Here I just want to show you the comparison between the transistor radio or solid state radio and tube radio. So they were offering this version, earlier version, with about 7 tubes version. Of course, this is a transistor or solid state version. I'm going to put some information here of transistor or solid state version to check that one out as well. It's very different, of course, the design. This is the power amplifier is separate from the board. This has its own board. Then other section. Here they're all together. Of course, this is the old version. Let me show you underneath. See if this is how it looks like under the chassis. It's a very interesting design. Of course, this one under the chassis, this is how it looks like. See, it's very different. This one has 3 different sections. It's a very interesting design. Since the cabinet is exactly same, they're identical, but inside the chassis, as you see, they're 2 different. The transistor version, these 4 knobs are close to each other. You see, there's no distance between them. There are 4 of them. This one, the tube version, there are 3 knobs here. There's an opening which they put the dial bulb right here. Let me bring it up for you. See, this is the dial bulb. There's a space between this, so that's how you recognize them. The dial lamp here, they install it right there. By changing the station in it, the dial bulb goes up and down. The other one, of course, is stationary, as we discussed. So the chassis, as you see, is a different design. Again, the cabinets, they're same. I just want to show you, you see the difference where the antenna is located. All the tuning they put here in the box, as we discussed, we take it apart. This is the original box, as you see, it's like that. See that? To be honest with you, this is going to be much easier to work on than this one, because you have more space, and you can actually see where the parts are. The good thing about this, they marked everything. Like here, you see, they mark them. So you can actually look through it to see what those parts are. So the tube version, again, is easier to work on because it shows what the parts are, and also you have a space you can get to and replace from the bottom. It's much easier to get to this and replace the parts. But this one you saw is pretty tough. So those are the different. Also the plug here, this one, the tube version, this is how they plugged it. This is where the plug was. This one, they run it into the chassis right from here. Just want to show you the difference between these 2. All right, let's work on this radio. Of course, for the cabinet, feel free to watch the other video that I made. That was transistor. This is the tube version. The cabinet, as I mentioned earlier, they're identical, but the chassis, they're different. As you saw earlier, there's a transistor version or solid state version and the tube version. Tube version is older. You see, this December 12th of 1968. And the other one that you saw, Transistor, was early 1970s. So anyway, this has 7 tubes. They also make this version with 8 tube, but this one, it has just 7 tubes, vacuum tube. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is a 7 version. My assumption, the 8 tube version might be earlier version. I might be wrong because I do not have the 8 tube, but this is 7 tube, as you can see. When I look through this is just a very interesting design. You know, they mark majority of every parts what they are. And if you can see or not right here, majority of parts are being marked. Even the resistors are marked, capacitors. You can tell what they are. That is pretty helpful. You know, I found 8 tube version schematic, but not 7 tube version. Of course, you know, like transistor version, I couldn't find any schematic. I assume I cannot find a schematic for this one too. This was earliest version of, I call it PC board. You know, these are all LED, believe it or not. That's how they build these boards. And it's very interesting the way they designed this. So anyway, it seems like there's a capacitor here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Right there is a 0.1 microfarad 200 volts. That is a molded capacitor. I'm going to measure all this capacitor. It doesn't have that much capacitor. This is one of them, of course. After I remove it, I will test it and you will see how off it is, okay? The other side, the only capacitor I see is this one, in canister. You see there are 3 capacitors. They're all 60 microfarad. They're all 150 volts, as you see. What I will do, I'm going to try to remove this, cut this, and install the new one inside this canister. And this is very awkward to me because I never saw something that all of them the same value. Some of these vacuum tubes just need cleaning, I assume. Hopefully I do not need to replace any of them. Majority of the tube radios up to now, the vacuum tubes usually works pretty well. You know, it's once a while one vacuum tube to be replaced. Usually the one is close to the power source. But we will check those and see all the vacuum tubes are okay or not. I will measure some of the resistors. Of course, the capacitor I share with you is going to be replaced. This again is pretty interesting design. As you see, the chassis is in excellent condition. No rust. I mean, it looks great. Very different than the other one that I worked on. The other one, everything I touched to fall apart. I guess because it was somewhere with the high humidity and everything was rust out in that transistor or solid state one. But this one, it seems like it's in very good condition. Hopefully those are the only thing I need. Alright, let me get it started. To save time in this video, I highly suggest going back and watch this video where I discuss step by step how to repair or rebuild multi-section electrolytic capacitor. Actually, this capacitor was belonged to this radio. There is just one small capacitor under the chassis. Let's test it to see how it's performing. This is already in the circuit. Let's see if this can read it or not. It says the open circuit low capacitance. This is 0.1 microfarad. I think this unit might not be able to read that type of capacitor. Is a 0.1 microfarad. And sometimes, you know, if capacitor in the circuit, you have to unsolder one side. With this one, what they say, you do not need to do that. But one thing I found out, it depends where the capacitor is located. So some area you have to unsolder one side. Otherwise, it will not read it. Even this one is a very good product, but you know, once in a while you have to unsolder. It's always a good idea to take a picture before you're removing something. Again, this is for those of you who just got started in this hobby. It's hard to remember all this where they're connected. Alright, let's unsolder it. This side is much easier to unsolder. I just hooked this up and it's performed very well. It shows 9711. You know, for something below $40, it performed very well. So I put it on the hold here. Let me hook up the other one. And this is pretty expensive too, you know. Let's see what this is doing. Price wise, very different. See, 97. Look how close they are. See that? That's incredible. I'm very pleased with this. Again, under $40. Watch the video that I made regarding this. You know, I went through complete detail how to use it and what type of accessory comes with it. I'm going to put the picture up here so you can later on check it out. Up to now, I tested for several works I'm doing and they all perform very well in this thing. Very impressed with it. Price wise, there is no comparison. You know, this is very expensive. This is just under $40. And let's see if this is gonna read it this time, since on solder one side. That's a 98 NF, which is a 0.1 microfarad. Alright, so we are in good range. I can solder that back together. I was trying to use this, but it's not working here. So I'm going to use this solder wick to do that. And finally it came out. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. See, there's a 3 connection to the ground. So 3 of them you have to unsolder, especially this one right here. They twisted inside. This large one, it was twisted. So you have to untwist that and unsolder it. So usually in other radios there's just one connection, you know, to the ground. Alright, so as you see there's 6 of them I have to unsolder and pull it out. It took a little time because you have to be very careful not damage the PC board. It's a very thin PC board, so just take your time. Alright. The good thing about this is this white side, you see this side, it goes right here, so you know how to install it. So I need to line everything up. Alright. Let me check underneath. Yeah, everything came through. Now I can solder everything back together. Excellent. Remember, it has a 6 pin. They all need to be soldered back. Use my magnifying glass. Alright, they're all done. Next, I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol, clean the area that I just soldered. With some alcohol and cotton swab, I go here and just clean all those 6 points. I find a couple of others here that was not soldered pretty well. I resoldered those as well. Just clean the flux from this solder. See, it got dairy. Then dry it. Alright, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to lubricate all this shaft and also the volume control. One is the shaft. I had a hard time to adjust it since it lost the lubricant inside the shaft, so I'm going to use the red one. And they make it also in some like a drop. You can use this directly and drop it where you need it. Of course, this is a spray can if you need it to use for somewhere else, like a switch area. The switch area, this is a good product to use as well. But when it comes to this, they call them pods. This is a volume control. That is for the bass. You want to use this type, not that one. If you use this for those, you know, through time, you're going to have issue with them. So the best is to use this, you know, for volume control or also bass or anything like this. But again, the switch and the shaft, I can use this. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Each of them, they're designed for different type of work. With this one, you just put a couple of drops right here in the shaft, just a couple of drops, see, like that. Then if I turn it, now I turn much easier because now I lubricate the shaft, so the shaft move much easier. This is the switch to change the AM FM. So with this I can use a couple of drops here, lubricate it. Right here I need a couple of them right here too. Again, it needs some lubricant to operate better. Now it's much easier to change. Okay, let me take care of all of them. Just want to show you these products. What I will do, I'm going to add the link to the comment section of this video and check them out. They're a great product. I'm using it for a long time. For years I've using this, and still I have tons of them left because you don't put that much as you saw, just a couple of drops. You know, one thing I want to share with you, do you remember in the Transistor version of this radio, I changed that light bulb and that was installed right here. But the older version, the light is right here. See if I can turn it around so you can see it. You see that? That's where they install it. So a few years later, they move this and they install it right here. I think that's interesting. All right, let's hook this up. This is on and off. The light came on. That's a good sign. Just warmed up. I'm hearing something, a speaker. You know, tube radio, it takes a little time to come on. I guess this is FM. Yeah, this is definitely FM. Again, I'm talking through the music so YouTube doesn't kick me out. All right, that is good. At least FM is working. Let's check AM. I guess this is the switch as I remember in the other one. Now we are in AM.
That's fine. Go ahead and call your sergeant in the meantime. You know, so yeah, we'll have that conversation afterwards. I'm not waiting.
Seems like AM is working as well, which is a good sign. As you recall, we had so much issue with AM in the other version of this, the Transistor version. Yeah, this is AM. That's also working. Unfortunately, as you know, I cannot play any type of music. YouTube not going to like that. Again, the center is the bass. You can adjust the bass. Seems like AM and FM is working. I don't need to worry about doing anything else with this chassis. So let me put it back inside the cabinet. Again, the cabinet is identical to the other one that I just restored. Feel free to check that one out. I'll go through the very detail about the cabinet. Alright, when I was taking this apart, this radio, you know, these little trims that it goes between here, between these two pieces, was all broken, fall apart like this for both sides. So the way I cleaned that, I got like a screwdriver, went inside, and gradually I cleaned all inside, all four pieces. As you know, there's a two each side. So creating something this thin is pretty difficult unless you want to sand, you know, the wood pretty thin. And you see how thin it is. So even popsicle stick, it was too thick for it. See, it's too thick. So I could sand this, use this, or use different method. Let me show you what I did. I got this galvanized metal. So what I did, I cut a piece like this. All right. Of course, you need a special metal cutter to cut it. Then now this fit here perfect. See this? And it's galvanized metal, is not going to rust, and it holds pretty well together. As you saw in my other video, this is the back, of course. See a little lip here, as well as this side. Hopefully you can see it. Since this radio is too tall, it's hard to video. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to install this first, like that. You want to make sure it goes all the way down. Then you install the other one. Okay. See, now these two pieces together. Then I'm going to use this middle right here and press it all the way down. Alright. Now I can put the top on. I think this metal is going to work much better than the wood, because the metal is not going to break, of course not going to crack or anything like that. Alright, let me put the top and get this thing over with. I will show you how it's performing. Alright, these are the final result. They're both finished. Let me show you the differences. This is the transistor version of early 1970s. That's a 1968 7-tube version. Let me show you the difference. The cabinets are exactly the same. They're identical. Let me open the other one as well. Okay, let me show you the difference. In solid state or transistor, the face plate is much lighter than the other one that has more design. In transistor, there's 4 knobs are here. On tube version, there's 3 in the top, 1 in the bottom. In the middle, there's a little light. That is the dial light. Let me show you. Let me turn it on. I'm going to turn the volume down so YouTube doesn't kick us out. You see, this is the transistor. By adjusting this, you see the dial lamp move as well. All right. This one, when we turn it on, you see the dial bulb is here. So this is the tube version. That is the transistors. Again, the tube version have more graphic in the front. It's pretty nice, as you can see. Let me turn it down again. That's the only difference. The cabinet otherwise is totally same. We already discussed about the chassis. And let me find some type of thing that we can listen to that YouTube doesn't kick us off. Sorry I go through this fast. YouTube gonna get crazy if I play music for so long. You see? So I'm gonna turn this thing down. Now let's try the other one.
To this guy later this month, tomorrow at noon, only through our app. Make sure you download it and have those notifications enabled. It's Benson Boone. There's nothing colder than your shoulder.
All right, let me change the station again. They both perform very well. This station, they play Christmas song all day long. I'm gonna turn it on. So if you close the door, that is how they are. If you find any radio like this, definitely buy them and restore them. They're very fun because, they're AM and FM. I hope that you enjoyed watching both restorations. Stay tuned for upcoming videos. You all take care. At this time, I want to take the opportunity and thank my subscribers with their uplifting comments. You always encourage me to upload more videos, since this is just a hobby of mine. Again, I appreciate you. Enjoy all these videos, and you all have an awesome day. Take care. If you're interested to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified when new video being uploaded. You have a great day.